So what I want you to do, once you get your CCOT stuff from the weekend up and running is I want you to switch it with somebody else. Now, yes, if you have a laptop, you will have to physically give the laptop to somebody else. Are you guys familiar with how to make comments on Word? Okay. If you're looking at Word, so why don't you switch when you get a chance, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. No, yeah, you were supposed to put it in the template. Yeah. Well, everything should be in that template.
I didn't do like a full sentence.
That's fine.
You spoke Spanish and we're doing like algebra.
Do you notice how nothing? Hey guys, if you look at these rubrics, anywhere on here does it say, grammar or spelling or full sentences or?
No.
So they never answered
No.
that?
Well, they don't. They do want it. That's how you get to the expanded core. But if you have everything in there and like some of your grammar's messed up or you don't spell correctly, they're not going to take off for it if they can figure out what the word is that you're spelling wrong.
Can you get to the expanded part if you have some grammar mistakes?
Some, yeah.
All of your.
It has to be pretty good.
Okay,
Yeah. Go ahead, Mackenzie.
What are you supposed to since we're writing about ourselves, we're still supposed to say like our name?
Mackenzie, blah blah blah. Yeah. Just like I did in mine, like Mrs. Beth answered.
Your thing really helps.
Oh no, play it. Go ahead.
On a like AP test, it's like the exam where you don't have like the line in the box and you can't write outside the box.
I think so. I mean, but you have pages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like they give you a whole booklet and say this is for all 3 of your essays.
Oh, I'm good with that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
For the body of the graphic organizer. So, wait. Alright, so we have to have 3 paragraphs of changing continuity.
One can be changed, and then the other 2 can be continuity, or 2 can be changed, and 1 can be continuity.
But the chart only had like political and cultural, which we had to change those to something.
No, it could be political and cultural, or for yours, it should have been like school or sports.
Yeah,
that's what mine was.
But like for
you
the
could
actual,
change it for whatever.
The actual essay, like it would be political and cultural, but we had to change it to something else for this, right?
Right.
But then if there's supposed to be like 3 paragraphs, but there are only 2.
Then you should have 2 changes or 2 continuities in one of those. Themes. So like I had 2 changes in school. So there were 2 changes within my schooling. But there was one continuity for sports or vice versa. Well, it stayed the same in one aspect, but it changed in another. Like if we're talking about learning, I was continually learning. I mean, you get born and you are learning from that point on. Like in the first week of my children's lives, I had them in their cribs, sleeping all night, like feeding every 3 hours. Like you teach them that, so they're learning. So the continuity is learning, and then you give evidence of that happening. So the things that I just said, like that you were born learning, that would be your evidence, and then you would show pieces of that are learning throughout. And then a change would be the way that you learn. So, yeah, you are a baby and you're learning through observation, and then you grow up a little bit and you start going to school and it's like learning through playing, and then it's learning through like doing reading and writing and all that stuff. Make sense? So that's a change and a continuity all at the same time. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps.
Okay. Anything else about the weekend before I have you guys do the 10-minute quick grade? Eric, you don't have yours? Okay, then look at somebody else's this time. You can just look over somebody's shoulder.
How many pieces of evidence do you need?
You should have 3 for each change or continuity.
Okay.
So you should have 3 in each one of those paragraphs.
Yeah, I only put 1 for
You have to make them up. I know. You have to think of it. If you get creative, you'll come up with stuff. Okay?
Are we gonna actually end up writing?
No, you won't write this one. I just want you to see what you have and do not have in it, as far as how it matches up with the rubric. Okay? So guys, go ahead, take 10 minutes. Figure out what you're doing. I don't know how to help you if you don't have one. Or just sit for 10 minutes. I mean...
Do I need to send you mine or anything?
Yeah, I would like it.
Okay.
Eventually. Where's... I'm going to come around and look at them, but it's more for those of you who don't have them right now. Where is my timer? Hey guys, quiet. All right, guys. So here's... what were some of the areas, if you switch back, what are some of the areas on the rubric that you struggled with?
World historical context, because like I understand how when we actually is a real thing, that would make sense and that would come into play. But for world historical context, this is our lives, like not.
But is history not going on right now as we speak?
Yeah, it is. But
Right.
That's not what the question.
Right, but if the world historical context, guys, listen. World historical context is a big thing that is going on during that time period. So if we're talking about the era, like the late 90s to present, what are some big overarching things that are going on that are kind of affecting what happens in your life? Okay, there are wars on terror, but does that affect anything that was in your charts?
Oh, well,
But that,
now that you say it like that, then this world historical context could have been in it because, like, Stacey said, like in hers, that schoolwork became like more difficult as you got older, and now you're something overwhelming.
right, but then what is the world historical? What's going on all over the world that makes that happen? Do you see what I'm saying? So we could talk about the infiltration of like computer technology and how that is something that is present and has been present through your entire lifetime, right? I mean, I didn't have email or Facebook or cell phones until after college. I mean, during college I had some email, but there was no Facebook. We had AIM instead, where we typed, right? Yeah, you laugh, like it's old school, but we didn't use phones back then. That's what we used at college. Like, hey, you want to go to the cafeteria? Okay, see you in 5. And then we would walk downstairs and see each other. Cell phones, I wasn't allowed to use my cell phone unless it was an emergency. I had one just to call my parents because it was free long distance. But I was not allowed to use it because every single phone call cost you something. So you could rack up a $200 bill without doing anything except for calling people because there was no data. I mean, it was just a phone. So world historical context has changed. You guys, everything is computerized now. Does that make sense? And how like your entire social life is driven by computers. There's information around you all the time. You just have to reach out and get it. So sports, okay, one thing that I figured out with sports is that when I was little, we went outside and played. Like, we weren't involved in sports all the time. It's like one sport every once in a while. Now it's like you are playing sports from the time you wake up until the time you go to bed. Kids are playing sports from the age of 3 until they die. I don't know how that happened, but I think because the world is becoming less safe, or it has that illusion of being less safe, that parents are more willing to put their kids in organized sports rather than saying go outside and play and do free play, because there might be some person lurking in the bushes that could abduct you if you're free playing, whereas that's less likely to happen in organized sports. So I think that over time there's been more sports organized. Does this make sense? And I know you guys wouldn't see that because it's just normal, it's part of your life. But that's how I explain it to several people who emailed me over the weekend. Okay? Can you stop that? That's really, really distracting. Does that help with the world context?
No.
Now, when we start talking about like actual historical stuff, it'll be a lot easier, yeah.
Yeah, there's gonna make more sense.
That's why we do this now with like your lives and make sense of it, and then we'll go back and do history stuff. Just the process, yeah.
Is this the hardest essay to write?
This is the hardest essay to write. Yeah. I hate this essay.
There's an essay like this one.
Uh-huh.
There's this?
Yeah, and you don't have notes. Like, this is, we still have lots of training wheels on, kids. Lots of training wheels.
What's the other one? What?
The comparative.
Oh, we grade 3.
Did you already write one of those?
Yes.
Was that our first
That was the first one because that's like the easiest conceptually. It's one of the hard, don't discount it because you need to know all the information.
one? Yeah, that's.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Guys, we're going to do a CCOT for real. Why are you guys all talking? Cut it out. You're annoying me. So let's do this together, and you guys can take out any kind of paper you want. You can use the CCOT chart that's on my big campus if you have that, or just follow along. I have it all up here on the board, so you'll be fine.
Are we doing these?
Huh? Keep them, because you may need that as reference. Although I think I put it on my big campus, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to use real content to write a real CCOT. And guys, this is due on Wednesday when you come back. We're doing all the pre-work now. So you'll just literally have to write it. When you write it, I need you to bring it in on Wednesday, 3 copies of it,
That's one.
of the essay.
We're gonna actually write down.
You're actually going to write the essay for Wednesday. We're going to do all the pre-work right now together as a class. You aren't writing that one, no. You're doing a different one now, based on actual history. Okay? That was just leading you through the process. Well, we got it.
Wait.
We got it.
There's a chart on here that looks like it.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all like,
Hi.
And that's-
Are you sure?
yeah.
Guys, does everybody understand the process here? Why are people talking? Stop. I can't. So, over the weekend, you guys did the chart that organizes everything, the continuities and changes, and then you did the template. That was to get you through looking at the process and doing it on your own. And yes, you probably muddled through it and you probably felt a little uncertain as to what you were doing, and that was the point, because you only learn when you're uncomfortable. Okay, because you have to figure it out. Your brain has to figure it out. If I just handed it to you on a silver platter, you would forget it tomorrow. Okay? So now I'm going to lead you through the next process, and we're going to use real history to answer this question. And you guys should know this stuff, and I'll help you with it. So we're going to analyze how political transformations contributed to continuities and changes in the cultures of the Mediterranean region during the period circa 200 CE to 1000 CE. Okay? So, to write it,
Yeah.
you can type it into Word.
Yeah, no, that's what they're how. Oh, I'm in green light.
Yeah. Save a copy. All right. No, don't worry about him. I know what he's doing. You don't need to worry about him. So, no, you don't have to. You can take notes as you want. And this will be on, I'm recording it, so it's going to be on my big campus later. Okay, so what's the first step in writing this essay? What should we do first? The graphic organizer. No, that's not it.
Read the question.
Read the question, but not even just reading the question. I can read the question until I'm blue in the face. Not really.
Break down.
Well, yeah, I could do that, but does that help me with step one?
Answer the question.
Understand the question. I know.
Well, you'd read the question before you understand.
Right. Right. Okay, fine.
So I will.
Break it down.
Okay, so guys, if we're looking at this and we look at the question, what's the who, what, when, where, and why of this question? So who? Anybody?
The cultures in the Mediterranean.
That's not a who. Is there a who? There's no who. If it said specifically a person, then we'd say sure. What's the what?
That would be the where.
Right.
Changes.
What is continuities and changes in cultures? So we have, here's the what. No. Continuities and changes, cultures and political. Okay? So that's the what. What's the where? Okay, the where is Mediterranean. When? What's the when? Okay, that's the when. How? They want you to do political transformations contributing to cultural things. So, how did politics change or make culture continue? Okay. You good so far? You're okay. What's the second step? Graphic organizer. See, we'll get this. What's the third step after the graphic organizer? Thesis. You could do the template along with that too. And then the fourth step, this is the easy one. Write it. Okay, is everybody all right? Okay, I'm moving on. So, and this is where I was going with point A and point B. With the steps here. You guys already provided the timeline for your life, right? So in order to kind of brainstorm some of the things that were going on during this time, we have to make our own timeline. So where does this timeline start? Okay, no, I want a pen, thank you. 200 CE. And where's it end? 1000. I suggest you write this, or you can look at it later. So what things, if we're talking about the Mediterranean region, where are we talking about? What continents?
Asia, Africa, and Europe.
What part of Asia?
Eastern.
Western. So West Asia. We're also talking about what part of Africa?
Northern.
North Africa. And we're talking about what part of
Southern.
Europe? Southern Europe. Okay. Yeah, we could do Southeast Europe too. But, I mean, it's kind of all encompassed, so it's fine. If we're talking about West Asia, specifically what places were here during this time?
Ottoman.
Not yet.
Persian.
The Umayyads, sure. And who else? Because when did the Abbasids come? Like 750, right? So, okay, so maybe we should write some of this stuff down. The Umayyads were what? Six what? Like 630? Okay, so 200, we're getting like kind of here-ish. And then and they went until about 750. See how I did that? And then what happens? We have the Abbasids from 750 until 1258, so they keep going. Make sense so far? How I'm doing this with my colored lines? Okay. Who else? What about North Africa? We're talking about North Africa. Who's here? Bless you, bless you. Nope, that's West Africa. Bless you. Egypt, but I mean, who controlled that area? Okay, for a while it was before the Byzantines. Because think about, when did Rome fall? 476. Close, good. So if the Romans fell, okay, so we kind of have to put them here. But what did Rome also own? Yep. And then after Rome split in 476, who do you have? The Byzantine Empire. This is crazy, isn't it? How many people we're looking at here?
What's it about 52?
Rome.
But Rome's over.
Yeah, because Rome controlled both. That's why I'm helping you.
No, I know.
Yeah, because I know you don't know this yet, and you guys aren't prepped to think this way yet, so don't freak out yet. Don't freak out yet.
Are they gonna give us a little?
No, they give you nothing. They give you the question. And I'm not trying to tell you to freak out. I want you guys to be prepped.
Is it time?
Kind of. So, all right. So what do you guys want me to put on here? Rome. And Rome started in BC, so we'll go to about what here? 476, and this is Rome. And then Rome split up. Let's make that red. 476 until, when did the Byzantines fall? Can I look that up real quick? Off the top of my head, it's not working. Chapter 15. Yeah, this is sick. I know what chapter things are in. 15? No, it's maybe 14, I think, right? Because you guys just started that. 15?
How many Roman empires were there?
2, really. 3, if you count. No, yeah.
Okay, so
14.
did the East Roman Empire become the Byzantine Empire, or was the Byzantine already there?
1453. So, guys, Byzantine goes until 1453.
So wait, what happened after the Byzantines fell? What did they become?
The Ottoman Empire.
Okay.
Yeah. But like the Byzantine Empire was still there, and the Ottoman Empire took some of their land, and then it was like a slow change from one to the other.
Oh.
Yeah. And then Turkey never really got involved in the Ottoman Empire. Well, no, Turkey was involved in the Ottoman Empire. It's when the Ottoman Empire fell that Turkey stayed by itself. Sorry. Are you guys okay with this? Okay, so now we have a nice little timeline to look at. Are you ready for the next step? Now this is where we start doing political and cultural and all that stuff.
Well, political should be easy.
It could be, because it's really just going to be some of this stuff, because some of the political changes are who had control of this stuff, because North Africa, right, you also have the Umayyads and the Abbasids. Right? Eventually. Now maybe on here, let's figure out when, do you want to do that? When things took other places? So the Umayyads, they had control of West Asia in 630, but when did they get to Africa? Like 700, right? Yeah. Help. I'm asking you. You're supposed to help me. If you don't know, look. When did the Umayyads take Africa? So that's going to be in chapter 13, and I'm looking at these little orange timelines. 600 to 700, Islam spreads across North Africa.
What's the Umayyads and Abbasids in Southwest too?
Yes. Now I'm going to look at chapter 11, because I think chapter 11 talks a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
Are you doing this on my campus?
Yeah. That doesn't mean just sit back and relax. Okay, so 632 to 750. And then the Abbasids had North Africa the whole time. You see what I did there? So the ums and the abs had North Africa from 632 on. All right. What else was a political change here? That's not good.
Abbasids took over from the Umayyads.
Well, even more so than that, we have like what's going on in Byzantine. I know you guys don't know that yet. Who's the leader of Byzantine Empire? You don't know yet, do you? Justinian.
Oh, yeah.
And Justinian came to power. Sorry, guys.
He's the one who looks like his
When did he come to power? 527? Are we sure? Sounded like a question.
Looking at the list of dates, and it says 527 Justinian rule of
I'm gonna say yeah. Okay. I like the way you could work that. That's good. All right. So Byzantine Empire, 527. That's like here-ish. Justinian, and that becomes a huge cultural thing. And we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah.
What one?
527. Okay, I'm gonna move on so that we can look at the next chart before the bell rings. So that you guys have like, are you guys good?
Yeah.
No, you're doing one essay.
Oh,
Yeah,
2 charts.
2 charts. Okay, so if we look at this chart, and you guys have your timelines in front of you, so you have to help me out a little bit. And this is where that chart came from with the politics and cultural. Okay, is this making more sense now?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So, characteristics at the beginning of the period as far as politics are concerned. Who's in control? Rome. And who's in control at the end of the time period?
The Abbasids and
The Byzantines. Okay, so what are some key continuities here? This one's going to be tough because I'm thinking of one and I don't know if you guys will come up with it. Can I just tell you? Okay, Africa was under control. Was it the indigenous people?
No.
Okay, so the indigenous people were never in control here. Ever. From the beginning of this time period to the end of this time period. Whoa, boom. That should just blow your mind. Native people, right.
Well, didn't Rome let them like govern themselves though?
Yeah, but they still had to answer to Rome. So indigenous people.
So it's like people always like took over.
Mm-hmm.
So there was always like formal rule.
Yep. And there was always like an empire.
Yeah. Can that be like another one?
Yep, empire ruled.
There was no lasting time.
I mean, not according to our chart. Now, what are some of the key changes politically? Right, look at your chart, and you might want to actually write this all down. If you look at your timeline, you might want to say Rome to Byzantine, and then we have Rome also gets taken by the Umayyads and then the Abbasids, right?
How was it taken by them?
Well, later. I mean, it went by the Byzantines because part of it got taken by the Byzantine Empire, and the other part was North Africa.
Wasn't the Byzantine just like a break off us for Rome?
Yes. Rome literally broke in two, and the one half was the Byzantine Empire, and the Roman part of it, where like Italy was and everything, and North Africa went to the Umayyads and the Abbasids. Later, the Abbasids. Make sense? Okay. Now, if we look at this, I actually want to, let's do the cultural stuff first. If you look at the cultural stuff, and I know that we didn't put that on the timeline, but if you look at the timeline, what cultural things can you pull out? Think about Rome.
The religion.
Okay, we can talk about, like
Roman gods.
like Roman gods. Okay.
Well, no, because they were Christian.
Hold
at
on.
the time, weren't they?
He
200.
was past Constantine.
So they're Christian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Christians to Muslims.
Hold on. It's not that simple.
They got taken over by the Muslims.
Hold on. It's still not that simple. Okay, so you have Christianity in the beginning. You also have like that whole idea of like reasoning nature with logic, right? It wasn't like really science necessarily, and it wasn't really numbers and that kind of stuff.
Didn't the indigenous people worship like animism?
Yeah.
Animalism.
Animism, not animalism. Okay. And you guys can keep brainstorming on that. I just want to show you how this keeps going. So then if we look at the end of the time period, what are some of the things that we have culturally?
Islam.
Okay, you have Islam, but you still have Christianity with the Byzantines, right?
Yeah.
Culturally, you also have math, right? And you could talk more in depth about that. Math and science from the Indians. But that, they took it from the Indians, it got diffused to these places that we're talking about, okay? So you can't just go into like this big talk about India. Otherwise, you will be off topic. Make sense? So you can mention it, but then you have to like bring it back to how that affects the Mediterranean.
So it came from India but went to
This Mediterranean region, yeah. What else culturally? Do we have people really doing animism?
no,
Not really.
You do in West Africa, because they had that blend, but we're not talking about West Africa. Are we good so far? You feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Okay, so then here with the continuities, what are some continuities that we see?
always religion.
Christianity.
Okay, Christianity, well, always religion. I like that better because that's more overarching. If I said that there's always Christianity, then I have to kind of like explain it a little bit more. But I will put it there. You guys can pick and choose whether you want to talk about it or not. Okay? Because you'd have to kind of talk about how it transformed too. So I could put Christianity down here too. You see how complex this can be?
Yeah, because like it changed.
It did morph from like this Roman concept of Christianity to the Byzantine and the Eastern Orthodox version of Christianity. So we could go Roman Catholicism to Eastern Orthodox. Does that make sense? And that's all talking about Christianity. We could also talk about like the change in science, change in approach to science.
It says Eastern what?
Orthodox. I had to stop.
How do you spell it?
Orthodox. Yep. Orthodox. Change in approach to science. Am I missing anything? Because I really want to get over here before you guys leave. So analysis of the change. Why did these things change?
The empire gains power.
Change of hands and control.
But don't we have to explain what that happened to?
Yeah, you can. Okay, and then what about this? Why did these things change or continue?
Because of the change.
Because of the change of control. Does this make sense? And also because of diffusion. And then what's our world context? What's like the big overarching theme of this time period? You could say trade. That could be one thing that you use. You could also use
Everybody's like
the expansion and like but see, diffusion fits in trade. So you could talk about that, and trade is like the big topic. What you said, the empires, right?
Yeah.
Empires and taking control of other lands would be one. Or there's a third one too. Western religions, Christianity, Islam, and not these Eastern like Buddhist and Taoism stuff. Is this all making sense? Now guys, what I want you to do tonight, and I know class is over, but I want you to fill this stuff in. So we would say that from 200 CE to, what was it, 1000 CE, politics affected culture. And because of the change in politics, there was a change in culture. Your thesis doesn't necessarily have to follow this, but kind of like use it as a guide to create your thesis. Does this make sense so far?
Yes.
Okay, and then you fill in the rest of this.
Are you using the laptop?
Are you guys good?
Yeah.
Okay, put your laptops away, and then this will be on My Big Campus under time period 3 and under CCOT.
So do we still have to do the 3 body paragraphs?